At the shadowed threshold of Covadonga, Duke Pelayo stands flanked by his steadfast nobles. Knuckles white upon ashwood shafts, they breathe the crisp mountain air. Faith and iron converge here, forming an unbroken chain against the encroaching northern tide. High upon the limestone cliffs, Asturian archers crouch in perfect unison. Yew bows drawn taut, they channel martial discipline into a divine mandate here. Muscles coil beneath leather tunics as golden hour light pierces the pines, waiting to shatter the enemy's advance. Sun-baked and relentless, Umayyad cavalrymen advance in rigid formation across the rocky basin. Polished steel helmets catch the harsh midday glare as curved scimitars rest at their thighs. They move as a single organism, projecting imperial authority across the fractured landscape. At the cavern mouth, an unbroken wall of Asturian spearmen braces for impact. Interlocking wooden shields create a fortress of wood and iron. Volumetric light illuminates their chainmail as they stand perfectly still, a civilizational duty carved into stone and flesh. Across the sun-bleached basin, Umayyad infantry march in exact synchronization. Square formations cut through the heat haze like a steel blade. Driven by relentless expansion, their disciplined ranks swallow the valley floor. A mechanical force of conquest pressing deep within the cool interior, Pelayo and his tactical commanders pace slowly. Iron daggers rest against their palms as they map the battlefield through whispered orders. Chiaroscuro shadows carve deep lines across their weathered faces, revealing the perched upon the overhanging rocks. Asturian war chiefs stand shoulder to shoulder. Heavy wool mantles drape over armored shoulders as battle axes grip worn handles. Muscles coil beneath leather and iron, ready to unleash the mountain itself in a moment of ancestral. Along the dense pine forest edge, Umayyad scouts advance cautiously. Light tunics blend with dappled shadows as short spears scan the tree line. They maintain strict formation discipline, utterly unaware of the lethal geometry closing around them in the quiet wood. Within the sacred sanctuary, Asturian infantry reserves stand in absolute silence. Round shields grip leather straps. As volumetric light pierces the entrance, they gaze toward the battlefield, a second line of defense prepared to reinforce the ambush, and trapped within the narrow gorge, Umayyad horsemen struggle to maintain formation. Polished armor clinks against rough stone as horses rear in confusion. Dusk light paints the canyon crimson, while boulders thunder down, fracturing disciplined ranks under the mountain's sudden wrath. As twilight falls, Asturian shield-bearers step forward together. Interlocking wooden and iron defenses form an impenetrable barrier across the rocky slope. Cinematic shadows stretch behind them as heavy boots strike the earth, ready to crush the disorganized remnants below. Upon the isolated command ridge, Umayyad field officers stand rigid. Heavy cloaks billow in the cold wind as signaling staffs grip polished wood. Night lighting casts stark shadows across grim faces, revealing the crushing weight of tactical defeat and fractured command. Across the darkened slopes, Asturian light skirmishers move with predatory grace. Heavy wool tunics blend with the earth as javelins draw back in perfect synchronization. Deep night shadows stretch behind them as they seal the valley's escape routes, tightening the final noose. Along the narrow retreating trail, Umayyad rear division soldiers stumble forward. Heavy armor drags against rocky ground as trembling hands grip straight swords. Pre-dawn light paints the path in cold blue tones, highlighting exhausted frames broken by fatigue and death. At the midnight threshold, Pelayo stands flanked by veteran guards. Heavy wool cloaks settle against cool stone as iron spears rest firmly against shoulders. Volumetric light pierces the darkness, illuminating quiet intensity as synchronized breathing marks the Upon the high promontory, a solitary standard-bearer stands alone. Heavy wool mantle billows as the crimson banner catches the first light of dawn. Cinematic shadows stretch behind him while golden hour glow highlights the steady gaze of a fulfilled divine mandate. Scattered across the desolate pass, Umayyad stragglers navigate treacherous terrain. Torn tunics and dulled armor reflect morning light as broken swords grip fractured hilts. Hollow eyes stare downward toward the valley, witnessing an imperial advance. Along the winding forest path, Asturian pursuit detachments advance in perfect unison. Ashwood spears angle forward as heavy cloaks brush against pine trunks. Late morning light filters through the canopy, casting strong shadows across broad shoulders, moving with discipline. Within the sacred cave altar, Pelayo and chosen champions kneel in perfect formation. Heavy wool cloaks cool around ancient stone as iron daggers rest against palms. Mid-morning light illuminates chainmail patterns, marking a spiritual cornerstone sworn to protect the western frontier. Across the sun-drenched valley floor, Hispanian remnant forces stand in unbroken formation. Heavy wool tunics gleam under the bright noon sun as spears rest firmly against shoulders. Strong volumetric light carves deep shadows, marking the dawn of a new enduring era.